us. And we never tie our money to his expression. We think it's just in the prophesying, the singing. You know, we think it's in those things, but it's a part of his expression and part of his expansion is showing the world what he's doing. The world is looking for what people have. And we know it don't go that way, but they want to see something. Even when you think about the youth, they're drawn to these rappers and stuff because of what they think they have. And we've been so conditioned as a church, not saying this church, but just as religion, that everything that we have is going to come in the next life. So we don't build nothing here. We don't save nothing here. We don't think about the generations behind us that are coming up. So we waste everything. We squander everything. We eat every seed that's placed in our hand, and it is a seed to be sown. And we don't think about it because the religious system has told us, oh, in the next life. And so we struggle in this life and we don't have, and then the generations behind us struggle because nobody wants to talk about what needs to be talked about, yet everybody wants it. Everybody wants money, but nobody wants to talk about it. And we have to get to a place where we can be comfortable and lay it on the table and talk about it and allow God to say, you know what, this is the way we do finance. There's a plan of prosperity that's in the scripture. There was a scripture, where was it at? Rudy, you read it this morning. And I told you I had it.
Is it Job?
Yeah, I think it was Job.
If they obey and serve.
Oh,
yeah.
36:11. I love it.
36:11 and 12.
Yeah, can you read it? Because it's in my paper somewhere.
Okay. Job 36:11. I had 11 and 12.
Okay, go ahead.
If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge.
Now, don't that sound like a retirement plan? I want that. We want that retirement plan. We want to spend our days in pleasures and our years in plenty. We don't want to lag, but it said that we have to obey. So we have to take the plan of prosperity that God has given to us for our life and for the generations behind us. You got to think about the generations behind. You don't want them to struggle with the same things that we struggle. We can see things in our life where we dealing with things that our parents dealt with. We dealing with our lights getting cut off. We having to move. We ain't got money we dealing with all these things, and it's the poverty mindset. It's that mentality that we have to get rid of, or our next generation will follow in the same steps because we have made them think that's normal living, and it's not. It's not.
You have to ask yourself, do you really love your blood? You have to ask yourself, do you love your children, your grandchildren enough to make that sacrifice? Because if you don't, you're going to live in the moment, and you're going to waste that seed. So you got to have enough intention and enough wisdom to say, you know what, I'm not just going to look for my well-being and my welfare. Even like the example I gave about Hezekiah. When Hezekiah, he said, okay, when the king of Babylon came up against him, he felt like, hey, he showed the king everything about he showed the king of Babylon all of his stuff, took him through the temple and everything. And then the prophet came to him and told him, say, you know what, you shouldn't have did that. And then he told the prophet what was going to happen. He said, you know what, the king of Babylon going to come and destroy all your inheritance, going to take your sons captive. And then he said something was like some of us said. He said, well, at least it won't happen in my generation. That's what he said. And that's what we feel too. Well, I ain't going to be gone. So I'm going to do what I got to do. It's people that won't leave houses to their children. They won't leave property to their children. They won't put up money in a Roth IRA. They won't have no savings account. All of that are symptomatic of a person thinking like Hezekiah just said. I ain't going to be here. I ain't going to have to worry about it. They want to get there like I got mine. All those negative vices. And we are forerunners. And we're paving the way. You know what I'm saying? We're setting things in motion so they can stay on our shoulders. Not that they have to trust the system that's going to be ransacked, because about 30 years you're not going to have money that's going to come through the normal channels. It ain't going to come through SSI. It's not going to come through all those things. So we got to get creative. We got to have wisdom and seek God and say, okay, God, I want something that's not only tangible, but it's generational. And see, that's why I told you and I made this statement, and I mean it. It's things that I'm studying and knowing I can't share because we're not ready for it. Because if we get it, if we get the wisdom and the state of mind we're in right now, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have bigger houses, bigger cars. You're going to have more what you wanted. You're going to have more shoes, more. And then we're going to steal this church. It's going to still be sitting here begging for money, asking for money, and then trying to get you convinced to say, hey, won't you go get on board? But you done went to another church. Yep, because I've had that happen. Yeah, they leave us hanging and then go. I'm giving prophetic words to people and told them, say, I see so and so and so and so and so and so, and bam, as soon as they got it, they went on. And so I know, and so I have to use wisdom.
Yes.
You know, because this thing that God is doing, this generational shift into prosperity that He's getting ready to bring to the church, not just this church, but globally, it's going to test the hearts. Because money, prosperity, fiscal things, all of that, financial freedom, it's going to test what type of person you really are. And we're struggling with tithing. We can't even go nowhere because we're still trying to figure out tithing for today.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
It's good you said that, something about the heart, because the thing that I had wrote down is says we need a willing heart. A willing heart is a heart that responds easily to a thing without agitation,
Oh, come on.
hesitation, and suspicion. Suspicion and hesitation is the product of lack of trust.
Oh, Lord. Now you got to add lack of trust to who? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it's surely not us. But the thing that I liked also, too, that you said is about, you had mentioned and said that everything that God gives us is in a seed form. And we have to see it that way. Because if we don't see it as a seed form, which is seed time and harvest,
Right.
and we can't look at it from our natural perspective of that. You know, that's why I believe, even with the teaching that you've done, the 8 places of recovery, I believe, where you talked about our new birth.
Yeah.
The 3 things out of from our new birth, which is redefines who we are, identity, redefines what we do, lifestyle, and redefines where we are headed, destiny. So I believe we need to see things from that perspective. If we don't, what happens is that our understanding, it says that the foundations of earth are out of course, and they're out of course because the scripture says, "Lean not into thy own understanding, but always acknowledge me." But I believe that's also where there's a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof is destruction. We're seeing things from a different perspective, and if we don't catch this in the right perspective, this is how we miss out on the fundamentals, or should I say the principles and core values of what God has for us to reach that prosperity.
Come on. Because you're not going to get it anyway. You got to go through the principles. If you don't, see, you know, the scripture says in Ecclesiastes, it says something that's so profound. It said when a man breaks a hedge, the serpent bites. And see, and that's Ecclesiastes. So when we break a hedge, which means when we do something outside of the principles,
Amen. Okay.
when we do it without following the instructions, that's when the enemy gets in. That's how poverty got in. And that's how we're going to stay in a certain situation, a certain mindset. And we think, I don't know why we think something in us, I guess it's just what they call that, the underdog in us. Everybody has an underdog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We always think, you know, not where has the underdog gone. That was my favorite cartoon, by the way. I used to love underdog. He can do some amazing stuff. But we all think that on the inside of us, that sooner or later we can just perform. You know, that we wait on that magnificent moment. You know what I'm saying? That mind-blowing moment that, you know, I don't know if it's a clearing house, I don't know if it's a lottery, a lotto, but you know what I'm saying? We're chasing empty dreams instead of doing the necessary homework and the preparation so that when it does show up, let me tell you something. If it's given to you, you're not going to appreciate it. But if you had to have blood, sweat, and tears for it, if you had to get up in the morning to go get it, if you had to get creative, if you had to study for it, when you do the extra stuff and then it comes to you, you have a respect. And you will guard it, you attend to it. You know what I'm saying? That's why when they win those big old sweepstakes, they lose it because it didn't take a lot of effort. It was just given to them. But when you know that you worked at it, you can walk through your house and say, man, and it reminds you, because that's what the fruit of your labor does. It will remind you of the faithfulness of God. And so every time you look at it, you look at your car, you look at your house, you look at your bank account, you look at your wardrobe. I know they seem petty to somebody that's tight, but it ain't, because all of us we like nice stuff, right? Normally.
Yes.
You know, I don't care if you got it at Goodwill or you paid for it, and you respect it and put honor on it. And whatever you respect and honor is value. And you put value on it. Am I right? You're not just going to just give it up. But see, that's the same thing. That same wherewithal, we got to have it. So when we're going to build something that's generational in the earth, I don't want us, see, and I said this before, I don't know where you guys want to go, but we're only one generation left. I don't know if y'all know that. I know y'all don't think on that level, but we are just one generation away. So we haven't done anything, anything of significance. I know we've got some good teaching and all that and whatever, but we haven't done anything that we can build a storehouse for generations. That I'm talking, when I say generation, it's 40 years to a generation. I believe you should, if God is third and fourth generation. Am I right? That's what our Bible says?
Yes, sir.
He said he can keep up to 1,000, but third to fourth generations. So that's 120 years. So if whatever we're doing right now, if you can't see 120 years from now, you're not building, you don't have the God kind of mind. If your mind is not based on 3 generations, then you're not fulfilling your design to be in the earth. I'm serious. That's what I'm targeting. So I hope I'm raising the lid of this place. Because you got to understand, I'm not talking about next week. I'm not talking about 2 months. I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? Because